Security mandates are no longer simple compliance checkboxes. They're now deciding who wins and loses in SaaS and digital products. In this course, you'll take CISA, UK, and EU secure by design requirements and combine them into one coherent strategy your organization can execute and actually compete with. For years, security was treated as optional best practice. If buyers cared, they asked questions. If not, vendors shipped anyway. That era is ending. Regulators in the EU, US, and UK are shifting liability onto manufacturers and SaaS providers. Security defects are being treated like product defects, with real fines and procurement consequences. Secure by design has moved from nice to have to baseline expectation. Across the US, UK, and EU, the legal texts look different, but they're converging on almost the same engineering asks. First, eliminate classes of vulnerabilities, not just individual bugs. That drives secure by design defaults, memory-safe languages, and safer frameworks. Second, ban default passwords and any shared or hard-coded secrets, so every device, tenant, or integration has unique credentials. Third, treat security as a lifecycle duty. Maintain SBO-level transparency, patch reliably, and run a coordinated vulnerability disclosure process. You can think of Secure by Design as one unified system that supports market trust, access, and compliance. It rests on three pillars. First, business and design. Security becomes a core product and business requirement, starting at the strategy phase. Second, defaults and hardening. You ship products that are secure out of the box without relying on customers to configure them correctly. Third, resilience and lifecycle. You commit to continuous updates, monitoring, and support. When you align decisions to these three pillars, you can largely design once and comply across jurisdictions. Regulators are signaling that security isn't just patching after the fact. It's a business requirement that shapes what you build and fund. That begins with executive accountability. Boards and the C-suite are now explicitly responsible for cyber risk governance, not just the security team. Next, security moves into the design phase. Threat modeling and security user stories belong in the backlog before code exists. And every feature is evaluated through a security risk lens, alongside revenue, cost, and time to market. Secure by default is about what happens the moment a product powers on. Security should already be switched on, without a specialist configuring it. That means no shared default passwords, minimized privileges, and closed ports from day one. High-value protections like multi-factor authentication, encryption, and logging are enabled automatically, so users would have to work hard to make the system less secure, not the other way around. Secure by design isn't just an application concern, it's a full-stack obligation. At the bottom, you need a trustworthy hardware root, secure boot, trusted execution, and attestation, so you know what you're running. On top of that, enforce memory safety wherever you can, so whole bug classes simply disappear. Then make modern encryption in transit and at rest a non-negotiable default. Finally, keep applications locked to least privilege with rigorous input validation. If any layer is weak, attackers will simply target that layer. Resilience and lifecycle are where regulators are getting very explicit. They expect you to guarantee secure updates for a defined period, deliver them automatically, and handle vulnerabilities throughout that window. That requires investment in patch delivery infrastructure, clear vulnerability disclosure channels, and a predictable end-of-life plan, not silent abandonment. For products and SaaS alike, the core shift is transparency. Customers and regulators want to know the security support horizon upfront, so they can factor it into risk and purchasing decisions. Secure by design is also shifting us from black box software to something closer to food nutrition labels. An SBOM is simply a software ingredients list, which open source libraries, which versions, which licenses. Once you have that, vulnerability management becomes much faster because you can instantly see what's affected. Paired with strong observability, you gain traceable, tamper-resistant evidence of how your systems actually behave. Privacy, data protection, and security function like interlocked gears. If one turns, the others must move with it. Data minimization comes first. Don't collect what you can't protect or justify. Less data means fewer targets and simpler compliance. Then enforce zero trust. Treat identity as the new perimeter and use strong authentication, so only the right people touch personal data. Finally, design for user control. Erasure, reset, and export must work reliably. Security should enable these rights, not block them. When you operate across the US, UK, and EU, the simplest winning move is a highest common denominator standard. Start by mapping overlapping requirements and deliberately adopting the strictest version as your internal baseline. Then standardize on that baseline globally. One secure build, one set of controls, one story for auditors and customers. It's almost always cheaper than maintaining regional security variants. You also future-proof. As regulations tighten, you're already close, so changes are incremental rather than painful fire drills. To prove due care, you need 3 reinforcing moves. First, add an evidence gate to your SDLC. A release simply can't ship until key artifacts exist, like a threat model and SBOM. Second, mirror that expectation in your contracts. Vendors must meet the same evidence standards you impose internally. Third, track it. Measure things like the percentage of features with threat models and report that to leadership. Leadership's role is to formally approve these gates and stand behind them so they stick. At this point, you can treat Secure by Design as your operating system for product decisions. Use the 3 pillars, design, default, and lifecycle, as a unified model for requirements, roadmaps, and evidence. This isn't just risk reduction, it's market access and a trust premium. Position it as a strategic mandate and start embedding it in work you're already doing. Take a moment to pause and think about your own organization. Where do your current practices already align with this unified Secure by Design model, and where are the gaps? Note one concrete question or challenge you want to explore next.